Good morning, my friends. There comes a time in everyone's life when we sit and wonder, why am I not where I want to be? Why is success always slipping away from me? And the truth is not hidden, it's right in front of us. We are waiting too much and acting too little. Too much, we plan too much, but we force ourselves too little to take real steps. Dreams don't fail because they are impossible. They fail because people never take action on them. Look around you. Every successful person you admire, every story that inspires you, has one thing in common. Even when they didn't feel ready, they didn't wait for motivation to arrive. They didn't wait for someone to push them. They forced themselves. Action was not a choice, it was a responsibility. Success is not about who has the best ideas. Success belongs to the one who dares to act on their ideas. Life is not going to wait for you. Opportunities don't wait for your perfect mood, and success doesn't come to those who are thinking about it. Success comes to those who push forward, even when they feel tired, scared, or unprepared. The problem with most people is simple. They want results without struggle, progress without pressure, and growth without discomfort. But my friends, that's not how life works. Discipline will always beat motivation. You can't trust your feelings every day, because some days you won't feel like working, some days you won't feel like trying. But if you can force yourself to take action despite your feelings, you separate yourself from 99% of people. Think of it like this: a river cuts through rocks, not because it is powerful at once, but because it flows consistently. The same is true for your life. The action you take today might look small, it might look insignificant, but if you repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, you will carve a path to success. Waiting for the right time is the biggest lie you can tell yourself, because the right time never comes. The only right time is now. This speech is not about motivation, because motivation fades. This is about truth. You will not always feel like it, but you must always act. You will not always feel confident, but you must still step forward. Every dream demands a price, and that price is action. Force yourself to do the work when you least want to do it. That is the moment your future is shaped. So today, as you listen, I want you to remember, nothing changes until you move. And the moment you move, even in fear, even in doubt, life begins to open doors you never thought possible. Action is the master key. Force yourself and watch how your life transforms. The first truth about forcing yourself to take action is understanding that action itself is more valuable than perfection. Too many people spend their whole lives preparing, planning, and thinking, but they never move. They convince themselves they need more skills, more confidence, or the perfect moment before starting. But that perfect moment never arrives. What separates those who succeed from those who fail is not intelligence, not luck, and not talent. It is the courage to take the first step, even when they are not ready. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates opportunities. The one who acts today, even with little preparation, is already ahead of the one who keeps waiting for tomorrow. Imagine a seed in the soil. If it waits for the perfect weather, the perfect rain, or the perfect sunshine, it may never sprout. But the moment it breaks through the soil, no matter how small or fragile, life begins to protect and nurture it. The same principle applies to your dreams. If you never act, your dream remains buried, invisible. But the moment you force yourself to take action, the world starts responding. Doors you never thought existed begin to open. People you never expected to help you suddenly appear. The path ahead, which once looked unclear, starts to show itself step by step. The mistake most people make is waiting for motivation. They want to feel inspired before they act. But motivation is like the weather. It changes every day. If you depend on it, you will never be consistent. Discipline is what separates successful people from dreamers. Discipline means doing the work when you don't feel like it. Discipline means showing up even when you are tired, discouraged, or afraid. Success is not about how you feel, it's about what you do despite how you feel. Think about athletes who train daily. Do you believe they wake up every morning feeling excited to run, to lift, to practice? Of course not. Many days they feel sore, exhausted, or lazy, but they force themselves to train because they know one thing: action is the only way to improve. This lesson applies to every area of life: business, relationships, personal growth. If you only move when you feel ready, you will stay stuck. If you learn to move regardless of your feelings, you become unstoppable. Another truth is that small actions taken consistently compound into big results. Many people don't act because they think small step won't change anything. They underestimate the power of consistency. One push-up looks meaningless. One push-up every day for a year creates transformation. One phone call might not build a business, but one phone call every day can change your entire future. The reason action is so powerful is not because of the size of each step, but because of the habit it builds inside you. Action rewires your brain. The more you act, easier it becomes to act again. The less you act, the harder it becomes to ever begin. Here's the harsh truth: life will not wait for you. The market will not wait for you. Opportunities will not wait for you. If you don't act, someone else will. Every second you delay, someone somewhere is taking the step you are afraid to take. They are moving forward and you are standing still. And when you finally gather the courage, you may realize the chance has already passed. Regret always comes later, but action can save you from regret. To force yourself into action, you must stop negotiating with your feelings. Too many people give themselves excuses. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it when I feel better. I'll wait until I'm ready. These are lies your comfort zone tells you to keep you trapped. Success demands that you silence those excuses and push forward. If you wait until you feel ready, you will waste your entire life waiting. Action must come first, and the feeling of readiness follows later. Remember this: you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Most people want to see the entire journey before they begin, but life doesn't work that way. You take one step, and the next step reveals itself. Forcing yourself into action is about trust. Trusting that if you move forward, the path will unfold. Trusting that failure is not the end, but part of the journey. And most importantly, trusting that you are capable of more than your mind tells you. In the end, forcing yourself to take action is not about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. Fear never disappears. It only weakens when you move forward. Every time you act, you gain confidence. Every time you hesitate, you feed your fear. So the rule is simple: act first, think later. Step forward even if your legs shake. Start even if your voice trembles. Because success belongs not to the ones who are the most talented, but to the ones who dare to act again and again, until their actions build the future they once only dreamed of. The second truth about forcing yourself to take action is that discipline is the foundation of freedom. Many people misunderstand freedom. They think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But that kind of life leads to chaos, regret, and wasted potential. True freedom comes when you have the discipline to do what must be done, even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline gives you control over your future. Without it, you are controlled by your moods, your laziness, your fears, and the distractions of the world. The person who learns discipline becomes the master of their time, their choices, and eventually their destiny. When you wake up in the morning, there are two voices inside you. One tells you to stay in bed, to rest a little longer, to take it easy. The other tells you to get up, to work, to push forward. Discipline means choosing the second voice, not just once, but every single day. If you only listen to the first voice, your dreams will stay asleep with you. But if you consistently choose the second voice, even when it's hard, you build the muscle of discipline, and that muscle will carry you further than talent or luck ever could. Success is never built on feelings, it's built on systems and habits. Feelings are temporary, they change from one moment to the next, but habits are powerful. They anchor your actions regardless of how you feel. A disciplined person does not rely on motivation, they rely on routines. If you want to change your life, you must design routines that force you into action daily. For example, set specific times to study, to exercise, to build your business. And once those times are set, treat them like unbreakable appointments. If you wait until you feel inspired, you will act once in a while. What if you follow your system? You will act every day. And that is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Think about the most successful people in the world. They are not the ones who always had money or who always had perfect conditions. They are the ones who created discipline where there was none. They trained themselves to act regardless of circumstances. They worked when others rested. They learned when others wasted time, and they pushed forward when others gave up. Their discipline created their future. And here is the most important lesson. Discipline is not punishment, it is training. It is not meant to make your life harder. It is meant to make your life stronger. Discipline also protects you from regret. Many people live with the pain of knowing they could have done more, but they didn't. They had dreams, but they lacked the discipline to pursue them. They had opportunities, but they lacked the courage to act consistently. The pain of regret is far heavier than the discomfort of discipline. When you are disciplined, you may suffer in the short term, early mornings, long hours, sacrifices, but in the long term, you gain confidence, pride, and results. When you lack discipline, you may enjoy temporary comfort, but later you carry the lifelong burden of what if. Another truth about discipline is that it compounds. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Discipline is like a muscle. The first time you push yourself, it feels heavy, uncomfortable, almost impossible. But if you push again the next day and the next, you grow stronger. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. Waking up early no longer feels like torture, your habit. Working hard no longer feels strange, it becomes your identity. With discipline, transform from someone who forces themselves to act into someone who naturally acts. That is when you become truly unstoppable. The danger of living without discipline is that the world will decide for you. If you don't discipline your spending, debt will discipline you. If you don't discipline your health, sickness will discipline you. If you don't discipline your time, failure will discipline you. Discipline is not something you can avoid. It is either self-imposed through choice or life-imposed through consequences. Choosing discipline voluntarily is far better than being forced into it by regret and hardship. You must also understand that discipline requires sacrifice. You cannot have everything at the same time. You must choose between short-term pleasure and long-term success. Every great achievement in history was built on sacrifice. The person who chooses to study while others party, to save money while others spend, to work while others waste time, this person is building a future that others will envy. Sacrifice today creates freedom tomorrow. Lack of discipline today creates change tomorrow. Most people fear discipline because it feels restrictive. But in reality, it's the highest form of self-respect. It is telling yourself, I deserve better, so I will not waste my time, my energy, or my potential. Discipline is an act of love for your future self. The more disciplined you are today, the more opportunities your future self will have tomorrow. That is the real meaning of success. Creating a life today that your future self will thank you for. So remember this, discipline is not just about controlling your actions. It is about shaping your destiny. The world is full of talented people who failed because they lacked discipline, and average people who succeeded because they mastered it. Talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. And the good news is anyone can choose it. You don't need to be born with it. You can build it step by step, decision by decision, day by day. If you are willing to sacrifice comfort today, if you are willing to stay consistent, if you are willing to force yourself into disciplined action, there is no limit to what you can achieve. The third truth about forcing yourself to take action is that fear will always exist, but courage comes only when you move forward despite that fear. Many people wait for the day they feel ready. They wait for the fear to disappear, for the doubts to vanish, for the path to become clear. But that day never comes. Fear is part of growth. If you wait until you feel confident, you will never begin. The only way to overcome fear is to act in the presence of it. Confidence does not come before action, it is born from action. Think about a child learning to swim. At first, they are afraid of the water. They cling to the edge of the pool, shaking, convinced they will drown. If the child waits for fear to vanish, they will never let go. But when they finally push off, when they take that uncomfortable step into the unknown, their body learns, their confidence builds, and the fear begins to shrink. In life, we are all like that child. We cling to comfort, afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of the unknown. But only by letting go and moving forward do we realize that fear was never as powerful as we thought. Action has a strange power. When you hesitate, fear grows bigger. But when you move, fear grows smaller. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain looking up. From that point, the climb looks impossible. The mountain looks huge. But the moment you take the first step, the mountain begins to shrink in your mind. Each step makes the challenge less intimidating. This is how life works. Action breaks the illusion of fear. What seemed impossible before becomes manageable because you dared to move. Most people are trapped by overthinking. They spend hours, days, even years analyzing every possibility, every risk, every consequence. In their minds, they have already failed 1,000 times, so they never act even once. This is called the paralysis of analysis. Overthinking kills more dreams than failure ever will. The truth is, failure teaches you more than thinking ever could. When you fail, you learn what doesn't work. When you succeed, you learn what does. But when you only think, you learn nothing. Fear and overthinking are like chains. The only way to break them is with action. Consider this: every successful person you admire once felt the same fear you feel today. They also doubted themselves. They also worried about failure, about being embarrassed, about not being good enough. The difference is not that they had no fear. The difference is that they moved anyway. They understood that fear is natural, but allowing fear to control your decisions is fatal. Greatness belongs to those who feel fear, acknowledge it, and then step forward anyway. That is what courage really is. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move through it. Fear will whisper lies to you. You're not ready. You're not good enough. You will embarrass yourself. People will laugh at you. You will fail. But here's the truth. People will laugh anyway, whether you succeed or not. People will criticize anyway, whether you act or stay still. Failure is painful, but regret is permanent. If you let fear hold you back today, in 10 years you will look back and wish you had acted. You will carry the weight of missed opportunities, the pain of what could have been. Fear is temporary, but regret lasts forever. To move past fear, you must train yourself to take small steps. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because it doesn't exist. Start where you are with what you have. If you fear speaking in front of 1,000 people, start by speaking in front of 10. If you fear starting a business, start by learning, by testing small ideas, by taking little risks. Small, consistent steps build courage. The more you act, the less fear controls you. And one day you realize that the fears that once felt like mountains have turned into pebbles on your path. Another truth is that fear never disappears completely. It just changes shape. The fears you have now will be replaced by new ones as you grow. When you are poor, you fear having nothing. When you gain success, you fear losing it. When you are small, you fear being ignored. When you grow, you fear being attacked. But if you let fear stop you at every stage, you will never move forward. The only constant solution is action. Each time you take action in the presence of fear, you remind yourself that fear is only an illusion, not a barrier. Action creates momentum, and momentum kills fear. Imagine pushing a heavy rock. At first, it feels impossible. The rock doesn't move, your muscles ache, and you want to give up. But if you keep pushing, even slightly, the rock begins to move. Once it moves, each push becomes easier, and soon the rock is rolling on its own. This is what happens when you act despite fear. The first step is the hardest. But once you take it, momentum builds, confidence grows, and fear loses its grip. So if you want to change your life, stop waiting for courage to arrive before you act. Instead, act first, and courage will follow. Force yourself to take the first uncomfortable step. Send that email, make that call, start that project, walk into that room, face that challenge, do it scared. Because once you do, you will realize that fear is not a wall, it's a shadow. And shadows disappear when you walk through them. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your results. And this is the fourth truth. You cannot rely only on motivation to push you into action. Motivation is like a spark. It can start a fire, but without discipline, that fire dies out quickly. Motivation makes you feel excited for a moment, but discipline is what keeps you moving when the excitement fades. Many people wait to feel motivated before they act, but successful people act whether they feel like it or not. They have trained themselves to be disciplined, and that discipline becomes their greatest weapon. Think of it like planting a tree. On the first day you are motivated, so you dig the soil, plant the seed, and water it. But what happens after a week, a month, a year? The tree does not grow overnight. If you only rely on motivation, you will stop watering when you feel tired or bored. But if you are disciplined, you will water the seed every day, even when nothing seems to be happening. Over time, the tree grows, and one day it becomes strong enough to give you shade and fruit. Success works the same way. Discipline keeps you consistent until results appear. Discipline is not about doing big things once, it's about doing small things consistently. Many people underestimate the power of daily habits. They believe that success comes from one giant leap, one lucky break, or one dramatic effort. But in reality, success comes from hundreds of small, disciplined actions repeated over time. Reading for 1 hour every day builds knowledge. Saving a little money every day builds wealth. Exercising consistently builds health. The compounding effect of discipline is invisible in the beginning, but unstoppable in the end. When you force yourself to take action, discipline becomes your shield against excuses. Every time you say, "I'm too tired, too busy, I'll start tomorrow," discipline interrupts and says, "Do it now." Excuses are easy, but excuses build nothing. Discipline is hard, but discipline builds everything. The truth is, life will never give you the perfect conditions to act. There will always be obstacles, lack of time, lack of money, lack of support. But those who succeed are the ones who act in imperfect conditions because their discipline is stronger than their excuses. Ask yourself, what separates a champion from everyone else? It's not talent alone, it's discipline. Athletes wake up before sunrise to train, even when they don't feel like it. Entrepreneurs work through countless failures, even when they are exhausted. Writers put words on paper every day, even when inspiration doesn't come. Is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Without it, even the most talented person will fail. With it, even an average person can rise to greatness. Discipline is also about mastering your mind. The human brain always seeks comfort. It wants rest, entertainment, and instant gratification. But comfort never creates growth. Growth requires discomfort. Discipline trains your mind to resist the temptation of comfort and choose progress instead. It teaches you to say no to distractions, to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. Every time you choose to work instead of waste time, every time you choose effort instead of laziness, you are building the muscle of discipline. Over time, that muscle becomes stronger, and acting with discipline becomes natural. Another important truth is that discipline gives you freedom. Many people think discipline feels restrictive, but the opposite is true. Lack of discipline leads to chaos, missed deadlines, poor health, financial struggles, wasted time. Discipline creates order. It allows you to control your time and your future. A disciplined life is not a life of chains, it is a life of control. You control your habits instead of letting them control you. You control your time instead of letting distractions steal it. That is true freedom. One of the hardest lessons is that discipline requires sacrifice. You cannot have everything at once. You cannot waste time on meaningless activities and also expect success. You cannot eat unhealthy every day and also expect to be strong. You cannot spend recklessly and also expect wealth. Discipline forces you to choose. Sacrifice comfort today for results tomorrow. The people who grow are the ones willing to pay that price. They delay gratification, they give up temporary pleasures, and in return, they gain permanent rewards. If you want to build discipline, start small. Many people fail because they set goals that are too big and then give up when they cannot keep up. But if you start with small actions, waking up 30 minutes earlier, reading 10 pages a day, exercising for 20 minutes, you begin to build consistency. Once you master small habits, you can handle bigger ones. Discipline grows like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. There will be days when you feel tired, when discipline feels heavy, when you want to quit. But remember this, discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. You don't need to be perfect every day. Just need to keep going, to return again and again to your path, even when you stumble. Over time, discipline will shape your character, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. So force yourself to build discipline, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when no one is watching, even when the results are not visible. Because one day those small, disciplined actions will accumulate into something extraordinary. Success is not built in one moment. It is built in thousands of disciplined moments, repeated with determination. Motivation may start your journey, but discipline will finish it. And only those who finish truly change their future. Success is not reserved for the smartest, the richest, or the most talented. It belongs to the ones who dare to act when others hesitate. Life will always give you reasons to wait, to delay, to stay comfortable, but greatness never grows in comfort. Every step you force yourself to take, no matter how small, is a victory against fear and doubt. Discipline will feel hard today, but tomorrow it will reward you with strength, progress, and freedom. Remember this, dreams don't work unless you do. Stop telling yourself, "Oh, one day," and make today the day you act. Push yourself forward, take that first step, and keep going. Because the future you want, the life you imagine, and the success you desire are all waiting, but only for the version of you that chooses action over excuses. Force yourself, and you will transform your life.